Alright guys, today I'm gonna share a flow of how forget password works. And I'm talking about the flow, not the technology, not the framework and what language, nothing like that. So firstly, you'll need a form. I mean, anything on front end that will, when you click on forget password button, there will be a page, an HTML page that will just have an email option with a forget password button. It's quite simple, straightforward. On that button click, there will be your endpoint that will be called, and when it's called, you probably will be checking a few things there. Let's say whether the email is valid or not. Second thing you need, I mean, yeah, email is valid or not can be checked on the front end too, but I always prefer having such validations on the back end, so I would suggest to have such checks on back end. Always have such checks on back end. um, then there will be another check to verify whether the email that is entered is present in your database or not. So basically you're checking whether the user is an existing user who's trying to retrieve his password. um, is that user even a valid user? So that's what you're going to check, and if let's say it's not, then you'll throw a message, error, exception, whatever, back to the front end, that hey, it's not a user which we have in our database, and please try something which is valid. Next up, let's say your user is valid. Now what happens now in the endpoint? What all you'll have to do, so your user is valid, you fetch users information whatever is needed, then you'll have your HTML template that will be ultimately rendered in your email. So you'll have that template, and that template will have some placeholders. When I say placeholder, that means some model properties that will be binded to the HTML template. So um, let's say I want a name of the user, and in the email I want to display the age of the user, whatever. You can fetch that, you can bind it in a model, and then attach it to the template. But at the same time, you will also need to have an endpoint, another endpoint that will be linked, or that will, I would rather say, that would be attached in one of the properties that ultimately goes to your email, so that when you click on that reset password button, it will land you to another page. So I'll come to that later.